This show is part of the RetroZap.com podcast network.
Previously on Starships, Sabers, and Scoundrels.
Wow, you're really going to town with your saber.
Oh, no. I'm just working out some aggression.
I got a bone to pick with you.
I'm telling you what, we got to get into this assessor-collector.
It's just not for the kids. Something like that.
Where are you getting this from?
So, I got some good news.
Lay it on us.
Might need the fanfare for this one. Okay, Scoundrels. My agents out in the field found me Hera.
This got uncomfortable.
Shortly thereafter, Netflix announced they were in active negotiations to retain their current streaming rights. Is that active negotiations or aggressive negotiations?
Well, it appears the negotiations failed.
Yes, they failed hard.
Or they never began.
They weren't aggressive enough.
That's right.
Perhaps.
Yeah. Disney came to the table with a lightsaber. Netflix only had their blaster, and that didn't work.
Does not work.
So,
I don't know. I can just imagine the way the negotiations went, and I have a feeling it ended up with powdered donuts and coffee being flung at each other from across the table. So, well, yeah, and I find it ironic that the company that did Blockbuster is now facing demise by their own business plan.
Ironic. He could save others from death, but not himself.
Hi, I'm Courtney/CT, creator of Squadron Goals and the host of the podcast Knights of Rant, and you're listening to Starships, Sabers, and Scoundrels with Dennis, Taxus, and Jay.
In addition to the Etsy store, Courtney is one half of the podcast duo, the Knights of Rant, from the podcast Who Talks First. She has graciously agreed to carve out some time from her busy schedule to chat with me. So without further ado, let's get to know Courtney. Hi, Courtney. Thanks for joining me.
Thank you so much for having me, and for the award. I feel so special.
Well, you don't really get anything. It's just an honorific. So I'm not too disappointed.
Captain Phasma made her debut in the Star Wars galaxy in The Force Awakens. Although the chrome-armored captain didn't have a large role, she was menacing and created a new mystique that captured the interest of fans everywhere. On Force Friday, Delilah S. Dawson's Phasma was released and provides a look into the history of the First Order's model soldier.
I thought that she captured the elements of a mix with Road Warrior meets Star Wars so well. I mean, I loved this book.
Really, it's not the first post-apocalyptic story set in Star Wars. I mean, the Obi-Wan and Anakin comic series was kind of a post-apocalyptic type of a story. But this even had a different feel than that. I mean, I felt like in Obi-Wan and Anakin, the citizens there were wiping each other out because they just couldn't come to grips with their differences. But they still had food, and they still had resources. There was plenty of animal life around. On Parnassus, Phasma's planet, everything was gone. I mean, there was some food that they get out of the sea, but there wasn't any crops. At least the continent they were on was ruined, and that was the result of a nuclear accident.
Early on, some of the conflict between the two tribes, the neighboring tribes, the one that Phasma's with is the Skyr, right?
Right.
And the Claws, right? Or the Claw, right? And I was like, oh, Phasma, you suck.
When she becomes the head of this teenage training academy, she sees to it that Frey meets a horrible accident and dies.
Yeah.
She works with Armitage Hux to take one of these beetles from Parnassus that is truly gruesome fate if you get stung by this thing. Yeah, essentially you swell up, explode into fluids. Doesn't leave much behind.
Oh, the part where they talk about the fingernails popping up. Oh,
it's pretty gross. Pretty gross.
Oh. Wow.
It's like an uncomfortable version of the Four Seasons.
What?
Greetings, Scoundrels. Things are quiet, but not for long. We are back with another show, and here's what is in store. Developments are quiet in the world of Star Wars. However, there are a few stories concerning The Last Jedi. We'll discuss those in this week's news. Jay Krebs has another installment of That's So Wizard, covering room decorations, makeup, and fitness equipment inspired by the galaxy far, far away. The 4th season of Rebels is nearly upon us. On this week's Hypothetical, Mike McDonald from the Sandcrawler joins us as we discuss our top 10 Rebel characters from all corners of the saga. It's finally arrived. The latest trailer for The Last Jedi aired on Monday night. We'll discuss this in the second half of our Hypothetical. We love hearing from our Scoundrels. To that end, we have an iTunes review to read in Silence Fools. We're feeling a little rebellious. How about you? So let's get to it. This is episode 39 of Starships, Sabers, and Scoundrels.
Let me ask you two a question.
Sure, lay it on us.
Why are we, as people who are in this time we live in, space, so obsessed with lists?
Well, I think it gives us a way to maybe order things in our life where there's chaos, but yet lists give us order.
Yeah, people like to rank things and then argue with other people about how they rank things.
Yeah, that's right. Those are great reasons. Lists are definitely a good way to kick off conversation. But thinking through our show's long history...
It's not even 2 years old.
Long and storied history, Dennis. But I'm reminded of my top 5 favorite moments that you might not remember because your brain's natural defenses have kicked in to protect your sanity, or I successfully tested my mind wiper and, in a funny coincidence, completely forgot that I used it. Number 5, the episode where Dennis found a green Skittle in his pudding cup.
Chocolate and lime is not a good mix.
Number 4, that time Jay wrestled a Wampa on episode 4.
That was the Galactic Empire interview. I don't think I even knew the show existed back then.
Must have been lost in the edits. Number 3, the episode where Dennis found pudding in his bag of Skittles.
Note to self, never buy a bag that makes squishy noises.
Indeed. Number 2, the episode when Jay wrestled a group of gerbils who evolved into a collective hive mind and joined together to form Mega Gerbiltron.
I really don't remember that either.
Well, you took a few tail whip fury hits to the head. And finally, number 1, the episode where I recount my top 5 favorite moments in our show's history.
Talk about a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Yep, making lists is a fun pastime of mine. Nothing I like more than listing.
Then you really should like this opener. It's listing pretty badly.
But still afloat. Barely. Welcome back to all our Scoundrels, far and wide. You've come back to the podcast that would like to remind you to proceed in an orderly fashion to the exits at the end of the ride. I'm your co-host and guy who lines you out on all things dark side, Darth Taxus, coming to you from the index card annex to the library of my flagship, the Assessor Collector. And with me are my co-hosts who ask you to take a number, Dennis, the Phantom Menace Keithley, and Jay, the Hut Jayer Krebs. Dennis and Jay.
Hey guys, as long as I don't have to take a number 2, I think I'm good. So,
whoa. Yeah, nobody wants you to dump that on us right now. I might have to dump that.
No.
An
Okay,
enormously talented number 2.
How you guys doing? Wow, maybe I don't want to know. So, what a week. So today, or actually yesterday at the time of recording this, A Certain Point of View was released. Have either one of you had an opportunity to pick this book up yet?
Staring at it right now.
I purchased it. Are you really? Nice. Mm-hmm. It arrived yesterday. Very happy mail day, but I have not had a chance to crack the spine yet. Mm-hmm. So,
well, the reason why I brought it up is that we did some speculating on this book over the past couple episodes based on some of the announcements that were coming out about it, and I've read the first 6 or 7 stories on my commute on the train. Mm-hmm. I knew you were going to point something out if I didn't say that, Taxus. And I just wanted to, we like I said, we've done some speculating. So some of the story titles, we weren't sure exactly what this book was going to cover. And it does very much play out as it is A New Hope. And it takes the point of view of various characters that were either involved in the action that we saw on screen or were tangentially related to something that was going on off screen. A little bit hit or miss on some of them. I think if you are a canon purist, you're going to have some issues with this book. But if you just enjoy this as an anthology worth of stories, you're going to have a good time reading it.
Mm-hmm. Is there like a story like the Death Gun Planet Destroyer Laser Trooper? Wasn't really sure how he ended up in this job, but has good 401k.
There's not that, but there is one about the guy who told them not to fire on the escape pod.
Oh.
And then having second thoughts about whether he should have done that. Yeah, that was a little bit more. He goes to talk to the expert in filing reports on the ship because she's good at figuring out how to get people out of trouble. I'll leave it at that. I don't want to spoil anything. But that's like story number 3 in the book. But it's very interesting, and I'm enjoying it because, like I said, these may or may not be canon, but they go by so quickly. They're entertaining, and you don't really need to worry about how they fit.
Right. That's what I'm really looking forward to, is the fact that you can kind of gobble these up in small little increments and kind of get a fix, your Star Wars fix for the day or whatever. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. So that makes me even more excited to dive in.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, let's head on over to the news. We have plenty of other things to get to in this episode, and it has been a relatively quiet week in the Star Wars front. Mm-hmm. So let's dive right in. Jay, why don't you get us started?
Absolutely. We may have the date for the world premiere of The Last Jedi. According to Variety, the world premiere is set for December 8th. As of this recording, there is no official announcement, however. In the past, the red carpet premieres for The Force Awakens and Rogue One were live streamed on StarWars.com. And it does make sense that it would be December 8th because they're usually about a week ahead of time. Yeah. So what do you guys think?
I think it's kind of, come on, you have to make a big announcement about this. Don't we already?
Well, they did really make a big announcement. This is something that just showed up in Variety. I hesitated to put this in the news simply because it's not official. But we got, Taxus, why don't you go ahead and get us into the next news story, and this might become a little more clear why it's relevant.
Oh, is it about Last Jedi reshoots?
No.
Oh, good, because it's kind of getting close to the release date of an episode on December 8th, right? But The Last Jedi is complete, so there aren't reshoots. Yay! Rian Johnson announced via Instagram on September 21st that the production of The Last Jedi is wrapped. So that's good news. All right.
It's about time. Like you said, it's September 21st and the film's coming out December 8th for the possible world premiere. That's
cutting it close.
Yeah.
Well, but they're completely done putting this movie together. This is not photography that's wrapped. This is the production of the movie that's wrapped.
Oh, so everything's done.
Yeah, it's all ready to go.
Okay.
So
good.
Yeah, which that's great because I know The Force Awakens, they ran it right up to the last minute, and with Rogue One they had a lot of last minute things going on as well. Now I know they can't release this movie early, but I kind of wish he hadn't told us.
Yeah,
that this whole thing was ready to go, because
I could see a Thanksgiving opening. Man, that'd be great.
Yeah.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, if it's completely done, finished product. Yeah.
Yeah, I like Star Wars in Christmas time, and for that reason, I was really glad that Episode 9 got pushed back to a December release. Yeah. Just because I have more time off at that time of year that I can go see it in the theaters frequently. But wow, well, I'm eager. I'm excited. Now we just need to get that. Just need to get our tickets and get to the theater.
The film's been scored and cut, and the gaffers have been gaffed, and the key grips have been gripped. It's all done.
Exactly. All right. Well, in our last story, Forces of Destiny recently returned on the Disney Channel in a 30-minute special. With the return of the show came the announcement via Twitter that Kif Vandenheuvel, I hope I got that right,
very good,
will voice an older Han in future episodes of the show, while AJ Locascio will voice a younger Han. Now, again, I've only watched a few of these shorts, and I'm still happy that these are doing well, because I know it's brought a lot of kids into the fandom, and that's fantastic. I included this in the news simply because I was wondering what they were going to do about Han Solo, since they actually have 2 living actors that have played him at this point.
Too bad,
Between Harrison Ford and Alden Ehrenreich, and they're not going with either one of them for this, unlike many of the women who have shown up to reprise their roles in this series.
Well, it's not really surprising, though. I don't think that Harrison Ford, and plus he's doing what's the remake that he's doing right now?
My God,
shoot, what can I think of? No.
But anyways,
Yes. Thank you. That just totally went whew. But have you seen? Stop it. Have you seen the new Forces of Destiny? I believe that's the Kif Vanden Heuvel that did the Tracker Trouble with Rey.
Okay, I was going to ask you that because the voice
and he sounded really good.
Yeah, he did. I was like, wait a minute, was Harrison Ford supposed to actually do the voice? I was trying to remember, and then I really couldn't tell.
Especially when he says "move ball."
Yeah.
I mean, it really was a "hey ball." I can't do a Han Solo. That was
actually pretty good.
Thanks. Beyond my voice acting, but it works. But yeah, I mean, the other Forces of Destiny, I've seen 3 of them so far, the new ones. I didn't catch the 30-minute special that was on last Friday night, but I did see Tracker Trouble. I saw the Ahsoka training with Anakin /Yoda. That one gave me the chills. And then the third one with Ketsu Ono and Sabine. So they've done a good job with them. Mm-hmm. I've been enjoying them.
Yeah, unfortunately, Ketsu broke up the Beatles. But
right.
Wait a minute. AJ Locascio, that guy. He did Prince Lotor and Voltron.
He did.
Oh, that's awesome, man. We're Voltron P1s, like hardcore.
Yeah, my boys are very fond of the current version of Voltron. If you're not familiar with Kif Vanden Heuvel, he is a character and voice actor. He's appeared in This Is Us, Family Guy, World of Warcraft, doing some voices, and Batman v Superman. And AJ Locascio, I really hope I'm pronouncing that correct, has also been in Dawn of the Croods, and he does other video game voices, including apparently a pretty good Marty McFly, from what I understand. Great. So, like I said, I brought this up mainly because I was curious if they were going to do a young Han, what they were going to do about that, since I would assume Alden Ehrenreich is available, and John Boyega's come back to do some voices in this, so why not him? But anyway.
Plus, is the young Han going to tease us anything about the movie?
I doubt it.
No.
I doubt it.
A shame.
Yeah, probably not. Yeah, the young Marty McFly, so instead of Forces of Destiny, it's Forces of Density.
And that's heavy.
Sorry, I couldn't resist.
Well, that's going to do it for this week's news. If you want more on these stories, we suggest such sites as RetroZap, Coffee with Kenobi, The Force Net, and Jedi News.
This is so wizard.
You feeling me, Hunter's Wizard? Oh, I was just stepping to you, girl, with my intellectual wizard politics.
I am an enchanter.
Wizards only, fools.
Wizards rule.
There are some who call me Tim.
Greetings, Tim the Enchanter.
Nope, wizards only. Wizards only, fools.
Welcome back to That's So Wizard, a monthly rundown of Star Wars fashion and product news from all corners of the galaxy. This focus is not just for the female persuasion. I've scoured the hyperspace lanes to find something for all walks of life. So sit back, grab your wallets, and get your add to cart fingers ready to go. First up, a new line of Star Wars The Last Jedi themed makeup from Cargo Cosmetics. Cargo began in 1996 as a professional makeup line for artists in the industry and have since branched out to the general public. They are known for their wide selection of high-quality formulas and shade ranges. Sources say the limited edition launch will be coming to Kohl's sometime this month, and Kohl's has been carrying the Cargo line for a while now. So far, all that's been revealed is a set of 4 neutral eyeliners, 2 mascaras, one which is a first order, and 1 resistance, and a May the Force Be With You pressed highlighter. All products are decorated in black and gold packaging, and I've also seen some sources hinting that some of the eyeshadows and lip top coats will be available as well. And I do think that the mascaras may be 1 regular formula and possibly 1 water resistant, but that's just my speculation there. And in an interview posted by Pop Sugar, Brian Robinson, president of Cargo Cosmetics, said, quote, "Cargo is regularly used on the sets of hit Hollywood films, so developing a line for Star Wars The Last Jedi just further reinforces our brand's identity," end quote. Prices are reported to range from around $16 to $36. And I have not used any of the Cargo Cosmetics. I'm a CoverGirl girl. I go for the cheaper end stuff. So when CoverGirl released their brands of, some of the Force Awakens, I was all over that. And I stocked up on the mascara and I still use it. But so this will be interesting. We'll see.
I have a ton of Kohl's cash too that I need to burn. So
I'm
probably
nice.
going to make sure to load up on it myself.
So, well, you've got some ladies in your life, so they could use that.
Oh, yeah, for them.
And you can, sure. Yeah. Well, you got to have your dark Sithly eyeliner, right? Doesn't that add to the whole mystique of your
for my Rocky
character?
Horror Picture Show.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and it is Halloween coming up, so it's kind of perfect timing.
Yeah, so let's do the time warp again. All right.
All right, I love it. So you can check that out at cargocosmetics.com. Nothing is on the website just yet. So basically, when we see it, we'll see it, I suppose. All right, next up, we have Pottery Barn Kids. And Pottery Barn has always been known for their high-quality products, and they have been carrying Star Wars items for quite some time now. And however, there are some great new products to coincide with the Last Jedi theater release. So if you need something for your bedroom, even if you're not a kid, go to Pottery Barn's Kids. And I was very happy to see when I clicked on girl rooms that I did in fact find a very nice selection of Star Wars rooms. So so granted there are many of the same designs in both quote, boy and quote girl rooms, but it was refreshing to see nonetheless. Some of the themes, kind of cool. There's a light side, dark side room theme, a droid room theme, and a room simply titled The Last Jedi, as well as a Kylo Ren room, which is really cool.
Yeah, it's got a lot of padding.
Yeah, and there's some ashes on the floor, but
nothing breakable.
Those up later. Yeah. Exactly. All rooms have a wide array of coordinating bedding, duvet covers, throw pillows, wall art, even some that have throw rugs, beanbag chairs, themed lamps, wall decals, and the all-important nightlight. But if you don't want to shop room by room, you can also just shop the full collection. And like I said, you don't have to be a kid for these products. My personal favorites as I was browsing include the Star Wars marquee light up wall art sign. So it's kind of like a nightlight in and of itself, kind of cool. The boucle throw pillows, and boucle is a type of yarn application, very texturized. And the Chewbacca beanbag chair because it's fluffy, which is cool. So, and you can even personalize your duvet cover with a monogram. So you could get a T for Taxus on there. Isn't that cool? Prices vary based on product, but you can check out the full line at potterybarnkids.com. So do any of you guys, do you have any, throw pillows or anything like that?
I live with 3 girls. What do you think?
Well, actually one of my sons, the previous iterations of his room was Star Wars, and many of the things that were in there were actually from Pottery Barn Kids, and including a rather large lightsaber decoration that we hung on the wall, and a few of the throw pillows, but that was from an earlier collection. I haven't had a chance to check out the new stuff yet.
I'm currently standing on throw pillows.
You're standing on them?
Yes, they're just all over the place around here.
Because they were thrown?
Yeah, well.
That why?
Yeah. Oh, you know what? I never thought of that. That might be why they're on the ground. Good job. Yeah,
look at that. And I did recently buy a pillow of a character that will remain unnamed, but at any rate, it's a lot of fun. So you can check that out. Are we ready for some nail wraps? You guys, I know you wear nail wraps, right?
All the time.
Nails
Absolutely.
are my favorite wrap. Put them on your fingers when your fingers look like crap.
Hey, that's a good rhyme, except they don't look like crap. So
wrong wrap.
Next up, we have nail wraps from Jamberry. And nail wraps are basically like stickers for your nails. And they give the wearer a ready manicure without having to go to the salon. And Jamberry's been known for their wide array of themes and styles. And it's very exciting to see so many Star Wars designs come available. Currently, last time I was on the website, there's 14 styles to choose from, just Star Wars. Yeah. So everything from basic themes like dark versus light, galactic unrest, which I'm actually wearing right now, and droids to specific characters such as Leia, which I also have, Boba Fett, Chewbacca, C-3PO, and Stormtroopers. And there's also a junior set for the little hands. So for the youngsters, they can get on the action as well and maybe do, like a mommy-daughter kind of matching thing. And each set comes with 18 wraps, but it's important for me to note that each wrap you cut in half before you use it, so you actually get 36. And that allows you to choose the sizes that fit your nails the best. And they do sell for $18 each. Right now, there's a special buy 3, get 1 free going on. So you can either buy direct from the website, which is what I did, or you can work through a consultant, kind of like Avon. You can even have like Jamboree parties. You can find a local consultant. So I'm on my first set of wraps right now. I just applied them last night. So I will be doing a review for Core Worlds Couture, my blog on Coffee with Kenobi, sometime soon. So we'll see how they hold up. I've got some labs coming up this week in my culinary class. And if they last a week for me, that's doing pretty good.
Golden Labs? Or?
So, no, not Golden Labs, culinary labs.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah, where we cook and wash dishes and stuff. So, but yeah, it's a lot of fun. I've had some experience with Espionage Cosmetics nail wraps, and I love them because you really do get some fun designs. So we'll see how these hold up. All right, next up, are you a fitness nut? Well, if you are, there's a place out there called On&It. It's spelled ONNIT. So if you're not a fitness nut, get on it. They have some products for you.
They're shaming me.
On&It is a company that offers functional fitness equipment in unique styles. And right now there's 3 products available for pre-order, all Star Wars, of course. So there's a Death Star Slam Ball.
Oh.
And if you don't know what a slam ball is, they're basically like a medicine ball, and they can be used like for squats, ball training.
Because I was envisioning something completely different, and it kind of terrified me.
Yeah, and these are big. So this is like 10 inches in diameter. So we're not talking like a hacky sack here. And they're about 20 pounds in weight. But it looks like the Death Star, and it has the surface detail grip, a dead bounce, which is important for a slam ball because you don't want it to be like a basketball. And they're priced at they're priced at $74.95 plus tax, shipping, and handling. So that's the first one. The next one, I gotta admit, it's a little creepy, and I'm glad that it's reversible.
Yeah.
Did you see the picture?
Yeah.
Okay, it's a yoga mat, but it's Han and carbonite.
Just not interested in stretching out over that. No.
I know. And there's pictures online, of both male and female
slam
doing
balls.
these yoga poses. It just, of course, I got to bring Robot Chicken into this. Hands up there, almost like you're begging. But anyway, it's a non-slip, reversible, moisture wicking mat, which is important because if you're sweating, you don't slipping.
No.
So I converted everything from metric. It's about 25.6 inches wide, about 5'9" long, and just under a 1/4 inch thick. And it prices out at $64.95. So I'm glad it's reversible.
What if you What if you actually did yoga on the real Han Solo and carbonite? That would kind of suck.
Yeah, well, it probably wouldn't allow you to get much balance because of all the texturization and stuff.
It'd be like awful Twister.
Yeah. You're not kidding. And then last but not least, they have kettlebells. And there's 3 different kettlebells. Okay. They are custom sculpted, and they're made of black chip-resistant iron. And they have a Vader, a Stormtrooper, and a Boba Fett. And they come in a 70-pound for basically $200. It's $199.95. A 60-pound for $179.95, and a 50-pound for $149.95. And the 50-pound, I don't know, that might even be a little much for me. I wish they had a little smaller. The most I can do is 25 pounds, but I do love kettlebell workouts because it does combine aerobics, strength, flexibility training, all kinds of things you can do with it. And here's a little trivia for you. Did you know that kettlebell lifting was the official sport of Russia in the 1970s?
Moment of silence for the Miracle on Ice.
Okay. There you have it. So you can go to onit.com/Star Wars to check those out. So those are my 3 main products for this time around. And to wrap things up, it's time to give out my Wizard Award for this month. The award goes to a shopped product or person whom I feel deserves some extra attention. So I always like to give some independent people out there trying to make their way in the universe. So this month, the award goes to UK-based independent product designer and company Prophecy Girl. And
I knew you were going to say that.
How'd you know? Because it was a prophecy?
Yeah.
See, the prophecy came true. So Christie established Prophecy Girl as a way to bring its consumers top-notch ladies fashion with a geeky edge. I recently purchased a top called Galactic Spy, and it has a fabric pattern inspired by bounty hunter Bazine Natal, which is really cool. And Christy and I have actually been in contact about her products and her philosophy, and I'm happy to support her and get the word out there. And she can be found at prophecygirl.co.uk. And I also have a full review of the blouse on my Core Worlds Couture blog at Coffee with Kenobi. So there you have it. There's my products for the month. What do you guys think?
I'm just interested in the kettlebells.
There you have it. Yeah, they're fun. You can swing them.
They sound like a lot of fun.
They really are. Yeah. They're very challenging, but I'm kind of really into kettlebell workouts right now.
Do they have hernia insurance or?
No, they do not.
No?
So that's separate. All right. You have to provide that yourself.
The workout gear is intriguing to me. As someone who's recently been going back to the gym for the first time in ages, I would not mind seeing more of that in the future.
Yeah, I hope they expand their line a little bit because, like I said, the 50 pounds still a little too much for me, but it's all good.
Hi, this is Mike McDonald, co-host of the Sandcrawler podcast, and you're listening to Starships, Sabers, and Scoundrels with Dennis, Taxus, and Jay.
From Rebels on Disney XD to Rogue One, and from the pages of Marvel Star Wars comics to the saga films themselves, Star Wars has told the story of the heroes of the rebellion and the fight against the Empire. With the final season of Rebels approaching, we decided to discuss our top 10 Rebels. Here to help us with our lists is the Sandcrawler's Mike McDonald, but you might know him as Mac or Mike Targan. Mac, welcome back to the show.
Thank you, everybody. Very nice to be back. I hope I can come up with a few ideas for this topic. I'm not sure if it's my specialty or not, so
it's among them, I'm sure.
I have the utmost faith and confidence in you.
All right. Well, here are some general rules. Right at the top, we're eliminating Han Solo, Luke Skywalker, and Princess Leia from this conversation.
Well, I'm out.
I think we can all agree that they are some of, if not the best rebels out there. However, they are a bit obvious for this discussion, and I'm sure we could adequately discuss them in the time that we have. So, with that said, Mike, as our guest, you get to go first. Who is on the top of your list?
Well, let's see. Well, if people know me, I think they already know who this is going to be. So, number one on my list from the original Star Wars A New Hope is Gold Leader himself, Dutch Vander. For personal reasons, the actor that plays him, Angus McInnes, is kind of a family friend. And I won't get into that tangent right now because we don't have time. So as far as the character himself, I love Gold Leader as a character because now that we've seen him in two movies, we've seen him in A New Hope and then we saw him in Rogue One. What's great is his introduction both times is the same introduction. This is Gold Leader standing by. And he's cool as a cucumber. And until Vader takes him out, he's pretty much cool as a cucumber. So I just, I like his even keelness. I like his, let's get her done kind of attitude. And he's my number one. And he's in a Y-Wing, and the Y-Wings are awesome.
Well, I mean, yes, for flying coffins. But he did always come across to me as more like the, I think what Lucas was trying to convey as like a fighter pilot, or a bomber.
Very much World War II,
calm,
Battle of the Bulge.
Yes, just I lost so and so. You know what I mean? Was that the right guy? Am I thinking of that? No, that was Tyree and Hutch. Never mind.
Yeah, but he was in that group. The thing that comes across in his scenes is Lucas had the actors memorize their lines, but when they said them, they were said out of order. So Angus McInnes actually was in uber panic mode shooting his scenes because he couldn't play off another actor. He couldn't do them. So when you watch him, his eyes are down. He's not looking straight ahead, right? He's looking down, And the appearance is he's looking at his control panel.
Yeah.
And he's, locked on target. And, and in actuality, it's the actor with sheets of lines taped to his knees.
Wow.
It's cheating.
So
well,
he pulls it off that way, yeah.
To me, that always kind of emphasized then Luke's reliance on the Force, because it's like, I never knew that story. So I always took that to be like he was really relying on all the controls in his starship.
Sure. Right. Switch to targeting computer. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah, good pick.
All right. Well, that is a good pick, and it did not surprise me in the least bit.
I'm sorry. I'm nothing if not predictable.
Well, anyone who knows you would have figured that one was coming, but I was glad you got it out there. So, Jay, you're up. Who do you have on the top of your list?
The top of my list. This has been so hard. I've been mulling this over since we said we were going to do this topic, and I feel like the Rebels are like my children. It's so hard for me to pick a favorite, but I'm gonna have to say right now, especially at the top of my list, has got to be Ahsoka Tano. Oh, she was, as far as her role that she played throughout the Clone Wars and the way that she handled her whole expulsion from the Jedi Order. And, it was just kind of like, Yoda coming back and say, oh, just kidding, you can come back. But not really admitting that he made a mistake. But for her to still keep the values that she had and to still see the bigger picture and to come back and be the first fulcrum and to get that whole thing started, and I just re-listened to the book again. So I've just fallen back in love with Ahsoka again, just from her. She just epitomizes for me the person that stands forward with their values, I guess you could say. She never wavered. And she had a clear picture of what she thought she needed to do to help others and to basically bring everything back almost full circle. So I'm really excited to see, too, where hopefully her story goes from here. So that's my pick.
That's a good choice. I racked my brain a lot trying to come up with different options for this list, and I never considered her, but that is a big oversight on my part because she did play a key role in the formation of the rebellion as the first fulcrum. So good choice. Good choice.
Thank you.
Well, Darth Taxus, you're up next.
I think really, I guess you could say this is no particular order, but I'm going to start with my number 5 pick first. And I'm going to go with A-Wing pilot Arvel Crinid. I think I'm saying that name right? He was the RZ-1 A-Wing pilot in Return of the Jedi, who ended up plummeting his ship into the bridge of the Super Star Destroyer. I think that's one of the best scenes in the movie, to be honest with you, especially with Piet and his XO just saying intensify forward firepower. Too late, and they're diving off into the pit. It's one of the best scenes of the movie, in my opinion, and he ends up dying. So.
Did you guys ever see the unofficial comic?
Yes,
short comic that followed that character.
Was that Green Leader or what?
So.
Green Squad. That's right.
Yeah, and it was like amazingly a comic that didn't have any dialogue in it, if I remember correctly.
Right.
And it just kind of, because his, without spoiling it too much, but, his wife was, I think, a pilot in a different squadron.
Oh, right.
And, he kind of wakes up and going through some of the anxiety of this upcoming battle. And, it takes from there. I highly recommend that listeners check that out, and I'll see if I can't find that and put it in our show notes.
Yeah, I'd like to see that, too. Mm-hmm.
Well,
he's an awesome action figure, too.
Yeah, I was about to say that, yeah. Great uniform and everything, right?
Yeah.
All right. Well, I too am going to go with a pilot for my first one. And since I do comic book reviews over at RetroZap, I decided to go with a new comic book character, and that would be Evan Verlaine. She was she was a pilot in the Rebellion, and she was from Alderaan. And in the Princess Leia miniseries that takes place between A New Hope and The Empire Strikes Back, Leia commandeers her service and helps her rally Alderaanians from around the galaxy, and then eventually Yvonne kind of takes over as the de facto leader for these displaced Alderaanians.
All the Alderaanians?
Quite a few of them. But the point is that she didn't have a whole lot of respect for Leia at the beginning, beyond her title and her nobility.
Right.
And by the end, she was won over by Leia's actions. And I wasn't the biggest fan of that Princess Leia miniseries, but I became a huge fan of Yvonne. So that is my first pick.
Didn't she make a comeback in one of the subsequent storylines?
She's appeared in Aftermath. I think it was the final book of that trilogy.
That's right.
And she was also featured, I haven't read this one yet, but I know she was also in one of IDW's Star Wars Adventure comics.
Yeah, I got those too. I haven't really read them as thoroughly as the others either. But that's cool. They brought her back for the book, though. I like that.
Absolutely. Mac, it's back to you.
So I could do pilots all day, so I'm not going to do that. I'm going to mix it up a little bit, and I'm going to go with a leader. I'm going to go with General Rykian from Empire Strikes Back.
Oh, yeah.
Nice.
And the thing I like about him is you come from A New Hope and General Dodonna and so forth, and those guys look like scientists. They're in lab coats.
Yeah.
Right? They have long beards and all this kind of thing. And then you get into Empire and you've got a Rykian who everything he says is a declarative statement. Wow. Every single line he has is, right? Princess, we have a visitor.
You're a good fighter, Solo. Wait to lose.
Yeah.
Death Price I'm butchering it, but you're right, man. I never realized that.
Very efficient, so you go. It's like, well, this dude is military.
Totally. Yeah.
It's a nice sort of jump off from what we saw from Dodonna and those guys into an actual, sort of in the trenches, almost literally kind of guy with Rykian. So that's pick number 2 for me.
And you know what I always liked is how when Han's got to go, he doesn't sit there and go, well, we could really use you here and blah, blah, blah. You know what I mean? He's just like, okay, I understand, man.
Yeah, there's a handshake even.
Yeah, exactly. Thanks for helping. Yeah.
But no, we should debrief this guy. We should not let him go. He's a smuggler. Just, hey, man, you do you.
He'll sell us out. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I kind of think he knew that Leia was hanging there in the wings, and he didn't want to get in the middle of that fight. But, all right, Jay, you're up again.
Okay, well, I'm going to go with Stila Guerrera next, actually, as I was looking at my list, because without Stila and her self-sacrifice at the Battle of Onderon during the Clone Wars, I honestly don't think that it would have propelled Saw forward as much as it did. With her death, it gave him more of a focus and a purpose to be against the Empire. And of course, as we know, he was kind of extremist and, established the partisan movement. But Stila, to me, I would love to have seen if things would have been possibly different too, if it would have been Saw that would have perished instead of Stila. But I really appreciated her character in the Clone Wars, and it was just a really cool arc. Do you guys remember that arc?
Oh yeah. Yeah, I watched that one over again right before Rogue One when I knew that Saw was going to be appearing. And you bring up a good point.
Yeah.
She seemed far more level-headed in that arc of Clone Wars than Saw ever did. And so, you do have to wonder if she would have gone to the extremes that he did dealing with his loss.
And how she would have worked. Yeah, and how she would have worked her role in the rebellion possibly differently than she did. But, of course, everything happens for a reason. And had Saw not been the one to take Jyn under his wing,
right?
Would Jyn have been the same person? And so, the Force works in very mysterious ways, so we have to trust it. But yeah, Stila's pretty cool.
That's always one of those little behind the scenes thing that I think super Star Wars geeks like us, think about, like how her character's passing, spoiler alert, might have even affected Saw's madness in Rogue One, and started him down the path of becoming what he ended up becoming. And unfortunately, it's something like, not a lot of people are going to know about, but it's kind of one of those cool little detailed intricacies about Saw's character that, we're privy to because of that.
Right.
Right. And even with Stila being involved that way too. I mean, and Lux Bonitari was there at the time, and he was helping to fight with them as well.
Oh, yeah.
And, not to get into any spoilers, but, there's some interesting things that happen with Lux later on.
Maybe we'll even find out in Rebels this season.
That would be really cool.
Part of Saw's issues were, I'm doing this for her kind of thing,
Right. I hope they bring that to light. I really do.
Did any of you read the Rogue One comic adaptation?
No, I did not.
I have it. But...
Negative gold leader.
Well, I'm on record as saying it was a far superior adaptation than the Force Awakens adaptation, and I do recommend it. But there was a scene on Jeddah where Saw does reflect back to her. It's very brief, but it's pretty powerful, and I do think that you hit the nail right on the head based on my memory of that scene. But I'm not going to spoil it for anyone. We could go into a long discussion about that here. So that brings us back to Taxus. Who do you got next?
Oh, me? I'd go for my number 4 next on the list. Actually, I guess this would be number 3, but Jack Tono Porkins. You know what this showed me? Is that big guys can be pilots too. Just saying.
Yes, they can.
And I mean, he's the first to bite it at the Battle of Yavin, and basically the name Porkins is so great. I mean, you would think that's just a nickname, but no, that's actually his official family Star Wars name. That's like the Hogg family or something, all those politicians from where, like Louisiana or something, I'm a hog and you're a hog. But so he's I guess he's next up on my list and again he's a rebel pilot and bit it. So.
And it is Porktober. It is National Pork Month.
Don't tempt me.
Yeah, I know, but happy Porktober to all of you.
I'm getting over my therapeutic issues with the word.
I know. I'm sorry. Okay.
Do you know in the original Marvel comic when he dies over the Death Star, Big says, "Farewell, Piggy. You'll be missed."
Oh no!
That is true. He calls him Piggy.
Oh, who's Mama's little piggy?
They actually gave that nickname to a completely different character later in the books. The Wraith Squadron actually had a altered Gamorrean guard who was actually super intelligent, and his nickname was Piggy. But
no kidding.
I'm not lying.
Working on a custom figure now.
There you go.
I've evolved past your insulting epithet.
He was actually a professor somewhere. Now I think about it.
There you go. Professor Piggy.
Wow.
He had I wish I could remember what his full name was, and I'm sure someone will be sending me a tweet when they hear this, they'll say it, but he had a artificial voice box that would allow him to speak basic. But then there was a few people in Wraith Squadron that understood Gamorrean, and when he wanted to appear as a dumb brute, he reverted to squealing like a pig. But
convenient.
Interesting character. I actually really liked him. He was quite fascinating. Well, all right, moving on. I'm going to get to my next pick here, and I'm going back to the comics with another pilot, and this one is actually inspired by your first choice, Taxus, and I'm talking about Shara Bey. If that name doesn't ring a bell, she is actually Poe Dameron's mother and was served the rebellion after the Battle of Yavin. And she was at the Battle of Endor and escorted Luke from the Death Star back to the Centurion Moon, where the Ewoks were. The celebration. She started to take a shot at him and then just figured out that it was not, in fact, an Imperial pilot trying to escape. We find out in other material that she didn't survive too much longer after the close of the Galactic Civil War, but she had a great 4-story mini-series in the pages of Shattered Empire, which, again, another series that I highly recommend.
Very cool.
Yeah, right. I was kind of upset that we didn't get more information about like the whole Force tree stuff after that. It seems like in that comic they just kind of went, yay, here's a Force tree for helping me out. Oh, thanks. I'll make sure to plant this. So does it need much sunlight or, watering? I got a couple of labs. Is that bad to have around the Force tree?
Well, someday we'll have to have a Force tree discussion because I think we could spend 20-30 minutes just speculating about what's going on with those trees. But
you got to get Becca Benjamin on for that one. She's an expert.
That's true.
She'll talk about that one for sure.
All right. Well, that brings us around for beginning of round 3. So, Matt, you're up again.
All right. I'm going to go to Rogue One and a character by the name of Toshma Jeffkin, who I actually had to look up his name because I just know him as Launch Guy. So at the end of Rogue One,
Launch guy.
Yeah.
Okay,
I got you.
At the end of Rogue One, when the Tantive 4 is about to separates from Raditz' ship, that's the guy who shouts, launch. I like this guy because, again, if you go back to Episode 4, the rebels on the Tantive 4 at the beginning barely make a sound, barely emote. Really, they fall over, they get shot and fall over, but they're very, very quiet. And the one thing I love about that ending of Rogue One is you've got rebels just losing their minds. Just, the stakes cannot be higher.
Right.
And, everybody talks about Vader in that scene, twirling the saber and just all of that awesomeness. But to me, the thing that gets my heart racing isn't Vader coming down the hall. It's the rebels' reactions. Because even the first time you saw it, we've all got to figure, okay, I think we know what's going on now. We know how this is going to turn out, but it's just, these are rebels just losing their minds over what's going on. And I just, it's so different from what we see. Well, you know what? I was going to say from before, it's what we're going to see in the next movie, in episode 4. So I love that guy.
Well, that is hilarious. I mean, it's almost like the rebels in episode 4 die politely.
Sure. Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
It's true.
Shh, the baby's sleeping in the other room.
Shoot quieter.
The rebels arguing in the Family Guy version is more realistic than.
No.
Why do you always talk bad about me in front of the other rebels? But that's what gets my heart pumping in that scene. Just we are doomed. So.
I love that. It's so true because, Rogue One changed so much of my personal perspective anyway, with the Rebels and the Alliance and everything. And it because it was so much darker and so much more gritty and so much more real.
Yeah.
And I think you're absolutely right in saying, that's the kind of reaction that someone would have in that circumstance. They're facing this evil, and what are you going to do in the face of this evil? I love that choice. That's really cool.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Well,
I guess I'm up next. Yeah.
You're up
okay.
Again.
All right. I'm going to go a little off here and go to the novels. And my next pick is going to be Sinjir Wrath Velas.
Oh, yeah. Good choice.
Great one.
Good choice.
Oh, love him. ISB officer turned rebel. The guy is just hilarious. But yet he's so dedicated to what they're doing, almost in a way to where he doesn't want to admit that he's dedicated to it, but he is. So, and I love the way that Mark Thompson narrated his character, and I just love him. I just think he's great. He's so loyal. He's so loyal to Jas. He's so loyal to Nora, and and everyone. Snap, and you can tell that he loves them all, but he just doesn't want to admit it.
Right.
He's all in.
Yeah, he's definitely one of my favorite characters out of Wendig's books.
Yeah.
You bring up a very good point about the way that Mark Thompson played that role when he was doing the audiobook. I read all those books first, and then I went back and I listened to the audiobooks, and it was such an amazing experience with that audio narration, and especially Sinjir. He just had such a fantastic personality that looked great on the page, but it really came to life with someone acting that role out.
And he's so smooth, yet he's so lethal. I mean, here he is, this ISB officer, and he's just good at inflicting pain, but in a way that, he can almost hypnotize you into wanting to feel that pain. And I think that's just so cool about him.
I remember my first torture.
Yeah, just like it was yesterday, probably, huh?
It was actually.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
All right, Taxus, you're up again.
Oh, all right. My number 3 then is going to be Dak Ralter.
All right.
So many great tropes from his character. I mean, it's so wonderful, so eager, so ready. First battle, dies. So, Dak. And John Morton's just such a great guy. I mean, with the Star Wars fan community, and his support of military and law enforcement has always been very impressive to me. Also, it doesn't hurt that the current quarterback for the Dallas Cowboys is also named Dak. Just throwing that out there.
It does, but that's okay.
Well, yeah. So yeah, Dak. He's my number 3. Just an all-around good dude.
Yeah, he had a lot of enthusiasm. It didn't take him too far, but I love the Family Guy take on him. But he's ready to take on the whole empire, so he flies up to do it. And gets sacked.
Really? Well, that'd be great.
Hey everyone, Dak's got this. So that was a good. He was a good character, and you're right. Morton's been great with the fan community. So, all right. Well, moving on to my next pick, and I'm going to go with something a little bit more mainstream here. We've been avoiding some of the biggest names, other than I think Jay's selection of Ahsoka, but I am going to go with Hera Syndulla. She's my favorite member of the cast of Rebels, partly because I think she's actually the truest rebel of all of them. She really is looking toward the bigger rebel cause. Kanan and Ezra are distracted by the Force and being Jedi and those type of things. Sabine is very concerned with what's going on in Mandalore, and then Zeb is he's loyal to the group, but he isn't quite the rebel that Hera is. She's very much about building their cell and contributing to this galactic war and leading people and taking charge. And for that reason, she was my next pick.
Great. I totally agree with that. I love Hera. And she was brought up on this. I mean, it was in her blood, literally. Yeah. So makes some good points.
The other thing I like about her is I haven't been bowled over with Rebels. I enjoy it, but I haven't loved it yet. And I think that's because I was expecting basically a cartoon about a rebel base. Really, that's what I was expecting. I wasn't expecting Jedi or purple aliens and that sort of thing. And the thing that I think Hera anchors it in the cause that we all know from the rebels in Star Wars, which is fighting, literally fighting the bad guys. And she's in an orange flight suit. Which appeals to me too. But I think like that, she's like what I hang my hopes for a show about, rebels in quotes, or the rebels, or whatever you want to call it. She's the one that anchors that, because of all those things you said, Dennis, about you've got Jedi wondering who they are and things like that. So and the fact that she's seeing the bigger picture, she's acting like we see rebel leaders act.
Right.
Very much so.
Yeah.
Well, and I see her relationship with her father Cham mirrored in the relationship between Bail and Leia Organa as well. You've got a father-daughter relationship where you've got a father who's fighting for a cause and a daughter who follows in his footsteps. So I think that's almost the Twi'lek answer to the Organas in a way.
Well, she's got 2 points that I love. The left Leku and the right Leku.
I knew that was coming.
Well, I think that'll bring our discussion of Hera to a close. So we'll move on to our next and final round of our picks before we get into some honorable mentions. So, Mac, who do you have?
Okay. Well, let's keep it with the women of Star Wars. Then I'm going to go with a pretty blatant one, Jyn Erso.
Good choice.
I love Jyn Erso, and maybe not for the reasons you might think. Yes, she's got a British accent and she's very cute, but I have many action figures in my collection, as a lot of you might know. But I have a 6-inch Black Series Jyn Erso on my desk upstairs as my only action figure right now. Just from the first trailer, from that famous line we never got, "I rebel." And it's like that was like I'm hoping to get like I've gotten from Hera. Jin's basically, it's like, we are rebels. This is what we do. And just apart from that, I love her look. The vest and the jacket. It's an awesome look all around. I also like how in the movie she's much bigger picture. It could have been a film about her just sort of, if not saving her father, trying to kind of like maybe redeem her shady past by rescuing her father.
Right.
Bottom line through the whole movie was we have to save the rebellion by getting these plans. which, and her speech on Yavin, rebellions are built on hope, where she's trying to sway them. It's just, yes, it's a call to rebel arms, and I just love it.
Let the girl speak. Yeah, right. Man, boy, and she's just kind of a mold breaker for me, because especially if you, again, read Catalyst, really, she shouldn't be like this, should she? I mean, she should be a brainy, nerdy scientist going and studying rock formations on some distant planet or something, Right. And she's kind of forced into this. But the other thing is, too, I mean, growing up, Mac, I always thought, the rebels had American-Canadian accents, and the Imperials had high British accents, you know what I mean? And she's kind of the first mold breaker. That's one of the things I love about Rogue One, is just all the different accents you had on the rebellion side, Yeah, that's a great pick, man.
And I actually split it because I equally like Cassian.
Yes.
Jin edges out because I like her outfit better than Cassian. So what can I say?
Good choice.
If a Novos made a male version of that costume, I'd be hard pressed to say no. So
it is hard to find clothes that fit me.
I've been wearing the same clothes since I was 6 years old.
My pantaloons.
That's a future segment of That's So Wizard by Jay.
There you go. There you have it. I love it.
Okay, Jay. Well, you're up again. Who do you have?
Oh, and Mike, I'm so glad that you picked Jin, because I was sitting here going, oh, which way do I go? Which way do I go? But I'm so glad that you picked her. And Rebel Rising, the book by Beth Revis, also sheds a lot of light on her upbringing, so to speak, and why she became the way that she was, and how she became the way that she was, and the journey that she undertook. So it's really, really cool. Okay, so I'm sorry, if I could, go ahead.
Before you start,
yeah.
I haven't read it. I don't really follow the books that much. What age is she in that book?
It flashes back and forth, but it's basically right after she gets rescued by Saw.
Is it flashing back and forth before her eyes, or
before her eyes? Yeah. So, but she's she just does a lot of. It's Rebel Rising by Beth Revis. So highly recommend. It's an easy read, right. So it won't take you long for sure, but you'll gobble it up pretty quick.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. Go ahead.
Oh no, you are totally fine. So that brings me to my last pick then, and I'm going to kind of cop out and put this into more of a category, and I'm going to pick the droids of the Rebel Alliance.
Oh, that's good job.
You beat me to my cop out there, Jay.
Oh no! So I got to put
go with.
So, of course, we've got K2SO, amazing. We've got AP5, our little, guy that ends up with Chopper, which is great. And of course, Chopper. And can we just talk about Mr. Bones for a second?
Yeah.
Can we just appreciate the wonderfulness that is Mr. Bones? And of course, R2-D2, as you guys have been saying, you could tell the entire saga from R2-D2's point of view. Talk about a FACPOV right there. That would be an amazing perspective for sure. But yeah, I love me some droids, so I gotta go with that whole class of droids. So there you have it.
All right, yeah, that's a good choice. The droids are often overlooked. And I, in fact, put K2SO, Chopper, almost in the exact same order you read them off.
Oh my gosh, wow.
So good choice. I highly approve. Taxus, what do you got?
Well, okay, this was a toss-up for me because Mac kind of enlightened me to something with what I'd like to call the Hoth Zapruder film. I really like the one scene where they're about to blow up the shield generator on Hoth, and that poor rebel, they just unload on him. And I always thought, watching it as a kid, they literally shot into his body.
Okay, I know where you're going with this.
But Mac, you showed me some images where no, they didn't shoot into his body. I mean, he dies, right?
Yes.
But they shot actually behind him. But the concussion probably killed him still. So,
right.
Yeah, that was really cool. That's toss up between he and the Imperial base guy that says, Imperial troops are in the base. Imperial troops are... It's just so creepy, and of course he dies there too. But my final real pick is a gentleman by the name of Inebre. Does anybody remember him? He is from Star Wars Annual Number 1.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
He is a deep-placed spy from the rebellion in the Imperial ranks. And guess what he does for a living, boys and girls?
Is he an accountant?
He's a tax man.
See, I was close.
And he doesn't die. You might think he doesn't. He does, but he doesn't. He comes back later during the whole women prison series.
Not in a good way.
No, he's kind of snapped, like we're all prone to do.
Right.
Is that like Orange is the New Black kind of thing?
Yeah, kind of. Yeah.
Okay.
That's all right. Yeah.
All righty then. Well, that's a very interesting pick, and that is a deep dive.
Indeed.
Yeah. All right. Well, I am also going to go a bit more mainstream with my last pick here, and then we'll get into some honorable mentions. But I'm going with Chirrut Imwe. I don't know that he was ever officially part of the Rebel Alliance, but he did accompany them on one of their biggest missions ever to Scarif to retrieve the Death Star plans. And the more I watch Rogue One, the more and more he becomes one of my favorites. Just because, I don't know, he's overwhelmingly positive. He just sets out to do what he needs to do, and he does it. And, he does not get bogged down by everything that's going on around him. He trusts in the Force. I could put him on a bunch of other lists as well, related to Force users and things like that. But Chirrut, I think, was my favorite character. Now they've got a little bit more distance from that movie. And so I was glad to see Jen make this list, and I'm glad we brought up Cassian as well, and K2 in the droid discussion, courtesy of Jay. So, poor Baze didn't get his own entry here. But all those characters from Rogue One were great contributions to the Pantheon of Rebels from Star Wars. We got a few minutes left in this segment, so why don't we do some quick hits on honorable mentions? So you have anyone that you wanted to add as an honorable mention, Mac?
Honorable mention. Do we get one honorable mention, or are we going to go around a few times?
Yeah, you can just
pick off 2 or 3
scatter shoot them. Yeah.
Two, okay, let's say Biggs Darklighter.
Good choice.
Mainly because of what we didn't see on screen, but what we saw in comic books and Star Wars storybooks and that sort of thing, the cutscenes on Mos Eisley.
He looked good in that uniform.
Anchorhead, sorry. Admiral Raddus for cutting through all the BS at that table. That's right.
Jay. Might have to have a visit from the fake Admiral Raddus at some time. Wow.
I still got Lofty Neck on my back burner, too. I could pull that out sometime. So.
Does that have to do with your love of seafood, Jay?
Oh my gosh.
Iron shrimp, man.
Oh my gosh.
I would also like to list Two Tubes and his brother.
Oh wow.
Oh yeah.
For being butt ugly, angry, mean, nasty guys that still believe in the cause.
The brothers Tubes.
Adrio Two Tubes, right? Adrio.
Adrio
and
Jeff.
Bob
Heltig. Yeah. All right, Jay, how about your honorable mentions?
Okay, my honorable mentions, I'm going to go with Rex for my first one.
Yes.
Because of course, without Rex, they're just lots of things don't happen. Jas
no
Amari.
good till you're dead.
That's right. And I love Jas, and I love her whole, I guess you could call it pedigree, being the niece of Sugi from the Clone Wars.
Yeah.
And Rey, I'm going to call her a rebel because, hey, she, is now kind of part of the Resistance. So technically she's a rebel, right?
That is a definition of a go with me. So well done. Well done. We haven't had many of those in this episode. Yeah. All right. Taxus, how about yours?
Pretty much we touched on all of them, but I had Sabine as my alternate. And I love Sabine. First major Mando character that we have some background and enlightenment to, especially letting us peek a little bit into the Mando militaristic familial clan hierarchy. So Sabine was my alternate.
All right.
She's a good one.
Well, I don't think any discussions of Rebels would be complete without mentioning Mon Mothma and Bail Organa, because they really were the two that started the whole movement to begin with. And then I also think you need to include Wedge Antilles, which, rogue leader, at least from the Legends line. I read the first couple chapters of A Certain Point of View today, and the very first one is about Ramus Antilles, who is the captain of the Tantive 4. If you don't read the whole book, it is worth picking up and reading the first chapter. It's some nice connective tissue between Rogue One and A New Hope. So there's a recommendation.
And he's not Wedge's uncle, right?
I don't know of any relationship between them two.
I thought he was Uncle Ramus to him for some reason. Okay,
all right, and moving on. And then I'd also want to bring up Kanan from Rebels. And then finally, this is a bit old school and it's become a bit obscure, but Kyle Katarn. He was the...
Yay.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, the main character from Dark Forces. So I love that game. I loved playing it. That was the original version of how the Rebels got the Death Star plans.
Exactly.
And so that, I spent a lot of time, and then he showed up in a lot of books as well. So as a character I spent a lot of time with, so it was just felt appropriate to put him in there as well.
Cool.
All right. Well, Mac, thank you so much for joining us. This has been a lot of fun.
Yeah, thank you.
Before you go, why don't you remind our listeners where they can find the Sandcrawler and where else they can contact you?
Well, you can find all my contact information, all the show's contact information at thesandcrawler.net. You can find show notes at retrozap.com/sandcrawler. And actually, you can find me and my good buddy and co-host Dengardan Lazat on Twitter. I am at Mike Tarkin. He's at Dengardan.
All right. Well, thank you again so much for joining us. And we want to know, listeners, who your favorite Rebels are. So make sure to write us at sqpod@retrozap.com. All right, it's finally here. We have the trailer for The Last Jedi, and wow, is it something else. So we are going to do a quick discussion about this, and I guess we'll go around the table, starting with Jay. What stood out to you most about this?
Wow, what didn't stand out to me most? I'm still trying to digest this all mentally, as I'm sure we all are, watching it a couple of times here before we hopped on. But some of the big things, I think, some of the themes are the relationship between Rey and Kylo. Kylo's struggle, it seems like he's still struggling to me between the dark and the light, and also Rey's relationship with Luke. So there's a lot of, it seems like Rey is the center fulcrum, if you will, to which everything is being drawn, including Snoke. So, yeah. Oof. Wow.
How about you, Taxus?
I was wondering who Snoke's talking to.
In the beginning?
Just through the whole thing. Yeah.
Oh.
I mean, maybe Snoke and Luke are both addressing Rey, or maybe we think Luke's addressing Rey, but really he's addressing Kylo. But one of the things go ahead.
That's a good point. I was just going to say, I mean, to me, to answer your question there, I don't know for certain, but I think maybe we're getting either two conversations stitched together, because we do see that picture scene of Rey bending over backwards with Snoke in the background, and that first part was with Kylo in the background. So, and who knows, that could have been dialogue that we just got for the trailer that will never actually make it into the movie.
Yeah, I thought one of the things that really stuck out to me was Luke being surprised by her power. And again, we don't know if he's telling her this, but he says, I've seen it before, and I didn't know to be afraid of it. I'm paraphrasing. First time I saw it, and hey, fear is a path to the dark side, right?
Right.
Yeah,
it's interesting.
He seems well, I think we're getting plenty of backstory here. He's like you said. He said he was not properly afraid of this type of power the first time he saw it, and seems to be some sort of a flashback to a burning temple, and then we see a mechanical hand, which I'm assuming is his, coming out of some rubble, and then he's addressing. We get this shot of Rey, and she's exercising some force powers, and the ground is cracking underneath her.
Yeah,
so
it's very anime. That was cool.
Yeah, so there's some sort of a parallel there, and it looks like Luke is concerned about repeating some sort of mistake from the past, which is very Yoda-esque.
Yeah, Kylo says, destroy the past.
Right, kill it if you have to. Yep.
And then to Jay's point, it looks like from this trailer that he's flying that enhanced TIE fighter of his and attacking a Resistance starship, which appears to have Leia on it, and he's trying to make that decision whether or not to pull the trigger on
whether to kill her or not. Yeah.
And I'm telling you what, Anakin flashbacks right there. The way that he was spinning in that thing just reminded me of Revenge of the Sith. It just like and just the look on his face. And it's interesting how he had his scar covered at first, but then in the last little scene, you don't see it covered anymore. You wonder what that is. And it almost looked like the same material as what Leia was wearing on board the ship. So I don't know if that's any kind of correlation at all, but it almost looked like the same kind of texture. So
I guess
kind of an interesting.
Yeah, I guess one of the things we have to keep in mind is that this movie is really picking up right where The Force Awakens left off. From everything they've said. So I'm not certain that his wounds just simply has had enough of a chance to recover.
Right.
And that's why he's got that thing on his face. One last comment about this whole Kylo, Rey, Luke thing going on, then we can turn to some of the other aspects of this teaser, or it's not a teaser, the trailer. It looks like perhaps Rey is getting frustrated in some way, in that, this last bit of the trailer is her telling, well, at least they've cut it to make it look like she's telling Kylo, and he's sticking out his hand in response that she needs someone to tell her how she fits into all of this. And, the response is a shot of Kylo raising his hand. So we've also had Rian Johnson tell us recently that Rey and Kylo are both kind of, how do you phrase it? This two sides of the same coin, protagonists in this story, which is a far cry from what The Force Awakens was.
Exactly.
I was wondering if that wasn't indicative of them kind of, I'm just saying, banding together because they're perceived as being pawns by the old way.
Possibly. Yeah. It's kind of hard. All we can do now is speculate, but we could go off on a lot of tangents here just based on the limited amount of stuff that we saw. But it's a little unusual seeing Kylo there in that starfighter as it's spinning, as you pointed out, Jay. That's a maneuver you usually kind of expect the good guys to do. It's not. Cool. It's in reverse here. All right. Well, let's.
Yeah. Speaking of starfighter, did you see the Super X-wing?
Oh yeah, with the extra booster on the back that Poe's got there.
Thing's just basically a giant Apollo rocket. That was pretty awesome.
Well, can we talk about Phasma and Finn for just a second?
You read my mind. That's where I was going next.
Wow.
I don't know about y'all, but having read the Phasma novel and the first 3 issues of her, the Captain Phasma comic, I'm beyond excited to see her get some real action in this in this trailer.
Oh yeah.
I'm finally almost done with the book, so I'm right there with you so far, for sure. So yeah, in seeing him is that the is he in Resistance wear, or is that we've seen him possibly in the Imperial like spyware kind of thing?
Yeah, that's what it looked like to me. It looked like he was wearing an Imperial uniform, but there sure was a lot going around them.
It was so quick.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Point of order, that would be a first order uniform, but
right. First order. Yes. Sorry.
That's okay. It's easy to fall into those things. We saw from the stuff that came out at Celebration, shots of him and Rose infiltrating the First Order in their uniforms, and the one shot of Rose wearing that hat at at an angle, that rakish looking thing because it didn't quite fit or whatever. So it looks like maybe Finn gets in there and gets a opportunity to take a crack at her. So
yeah. What about Under the Planet?
Yeah, we got that TIE fighter pursuit of the Falcon there, which looks quite intense. And then we get a shot of Chewbacca and the unnamed, the denizens of Octo that will remain unnamed in the cockpit there.
Yeah. Oh yeah, doing the battle cry.
Yeah, that was the cutest thing, though, I gotta say.
Was it, Jay?
It was, for me anyway. It was adorable. And the little crystal wolves.
Those are cool.
Glimpse, the crystal wolves. Oh, very, very cool. Now, who do you think Luke was talking to when he said this is not going to go the way you think? Who was he talking to? Are we going to speculate on that? Or
Sure. I think there's two possibilities. I think it's either Rey or it's Kylo.
Mm-hmm. I thought maybe it could be Leia.
That's a possibility too.
Yeah.
Just throwing that out there.
We really, this raised more questions than answers, didn't it? Which
is fun.
Yeah, it
That's
is.
what's so much fun. Yeah. And I'm telling you right now, this is going to probably be, other than official stuff, the last thing I'm going to, watch. And I know this was official also, but I'm just a big one. I know you don't care about spoilers, Taxus, but I do. I don't like to pull the curtain back too much. So, this will be it for me for the most part, other than just the little snippets here and there of some official things. But yeah, that last image of Kylo reaching out to Rey after she says, I need someone to show me my place in all of this. Ugh.
Well, yeah. And again, is he, or, does she take him up on it or what?
Right. Well, my husband said, maybe she's just playing him. To which my younger son said, well, girls do that.
Yeah. Not affiliated with J. Krabs. Or her family.
I was like, oh gosh, guys, that was harsh.
Hey, that was some fun saber action with Rey doing the training and everything. I kind of like, did you see how they actually showed it tapered to a point? When she was pointing at the camera.
I need to go back and watch that. Yeah. As she was coming around by the cliff face.
Hey.
Okay, yeah.
Ready for, my latest and craziest Snoke theory?
Go ahead.
What if he's a clone from Luke's hand? That's why he looks all messed up.
Oh, they just sort of regenerated his cells from his hand.
Just cloned him, cloning. Science! Stuff like that.
Star Wars science.
Yeah, Star Wars science. Yeah. I don't know. It's just
I'm still hanging on to the Darth Maul theory.
I'm still going with Snoke.
I'm torn between that as well. So I'd like to see Maul, but it's all good.
Well,
I have my wish list. It's okay.
Sure. While we were waiting for the trailer this evening, they released the new poster for The Last Jedi. Did either of you get a chance to see that?
No, I have not yet. I'll have to look at that as soon as we're done here.
Lots of red.
Yeah, lots of red. There's nothing particularly new in there that we haven't seen in this trailer. I was pleased to see that C-3PO and R2-D2, even though they're very small, are still down there in the corner of this.
Yeah.
The other thing is that we've got Rey and Kylo. They're kind of the mid-ground of this. And interestingly, they've got somewhat similar poses with their sabers, except for in the Force Awakens poster, they overlapped, and now they're side by side. And then Luke is looking down. Well, not looking down, but he's above them, looking at the viewer of this poster. And then we get Princess Leia in the middle as well. So it's a great poster. They did well with that. Okay, well, I guess we should go around the table here one last time. What was your favorite part, Jay?
Oh, my favorite part is... This is really hard. I'm going to have to say watching Kylo in his ship and then deliberating over the fire button. Because for me, that right there is going to be a pivotal moment, I feel like. And I don't know if I'd necessarily say it's my favorite part, but it's definitely the part that hit me the hardest, I think. And you're right. I think this whole movie is going to raise more questions than answers. And that's what the midpoint in a trilogy is supposed to do, I guess. So...
Yeah, I was going to say that was also the thing I liked. Whether they were just cutting everything together just to tease us, like she could just be looking out the viewport at something, and they just put it in there, and he's like considering firing on, I don't know, Rey's ship, or maybe he's considering firing on his own ship. Hey, how about that? That would be crazy. I don't know, but that was probably the most dramatic scene to me.
As far as my favorite part goes, it's really a collection of very small moments that we got throughout this trailer that looks like it's a battle on Crate. We see those ATM-6s with some smaller modernized AT-ATs walking nearby. There's I can't tell if it's Kylo's shuttle that's above them or some other first order transport that's floating there. And, the Resistance has got these smaller, I guess they call them ski speeders, is what they've been called, that they're using to combat this. And I've been looking forward to some sort of a large scale ground assault like that since The Empire Strikes Back. So that really caught my attention. And this, I don't want to say I was underwhelmed, but the teaser that we got at Celebration wasn't as exciting as I had hoped it would be. But this I am more pumped and amped for the movie now after this than I thought I could be. They always manage to do this with Star Wars. Just when you think you can't get any more excited, they give you just a little bit more to send you over the edge.
Extreme. And hearing Luke talk, extreme. But hearing Luke talk, finally, I mean, that's got to be right up there too.
And he had the crazy Luke eyes.
I know. And we're 66 days out, guys.
Ooh.
Is that a coincidence?
Execute.
Execute order
66 days until
order your tickets.
Boy, it just doesn't roll off.
Yeah, I know, which I have to do as soon as we wrap up.
Alrighty then. Well, I think we could probably go on for this about another hour, 2 hours or so, just nitpicking all the details there, but we are going to leave that up to the Scoundrels.
Ray Saber was blue.
Yes.
Thank you, Captain Obvious.
Okay.
All right. Well, we want to hear what you think about the Scoundrels. Send us an email to sqpod@retrozap.com.
When I found you, I saw raw, untamed power. And beyond that, something truly special.
Something inside me has always been there. But now it's awake. And I need help.
I've seen this raw strength only once before. It didn't scare me enough then. It does now. Let the past die. Kill it. If you have to. That's the only way to become what you were meant to be.
Show me my place in all this.
It's time for
Silence Fools!
All right. Well, this week we have a new 5-star review on iTunes. First one of those in a while. But this is from Red Baron 1138. He says, "The best Scoundrels in the galaxy. This is one of my favorite Star Wars podcasts. Jay, Dennis, and Darth Taxus have great chemistry and produce a Star Wars podcast full of great humor and intelligent conversation. I highly recommend Starships, Sabers, and Scoundrels." So
we is smart. We is very.
We is intelligent, right? Yeah, well, thank you very much, Red Baron 1138. I think we know who that is, based on some earlier communications we had. But that's fantastic. Like I said, we hadn't had any iTunes reviews for a while, and we could always use some more, and we will read those on the air, and emails, and if we get a especially good tweet, we'll do that too. Another great edition of That's So Wizard, a fun Rebels Top 10 with Mike McDonald, the Last Jedi trailer discussion, and an iTunes review. That was a fun episode. Before we go, what else do you both have for our Scoundrels to look for?
Well, of course, you can always find me on Coffee with Kenobi, and I have my every other month blog that drops on the 18th, so I will have one coming out this month, as well as my reviews on Core Worlds KOTOR, also on coffeewithkenobi.com.
Mm-hmm. And on moments I'm not sitting on the couch, you can find me over on Assembly of Geeks Network with the Geek Supreme, which is kind of a fun little semi-talk, semi-game show, sort of NPR style, but with a little flair. So go check it out.
Yeah, you've all had some really interesting Star Trek Discovery discussions.
Oh, yeah.
By interesting, I mean bizarre. Okay, that's great. I have some counter reviews coming up on RetroZap as usual. Some of the recent reviews include Captain Phasma number 2 and Podameron number 19. Just check out the comments commentary section under articles to find those. I also launched another podcast with my wife.
Yes.
We are reviewing each episode of Star Trek Discovery, and that will be showing up on the RetroZap podcast feed sometime after this episode goes live. But take a look for those. That's an exclusive to that network. So, Scoundrels, thanks for listening and for your support. If you've enjoyed the show, this has been Starships, Sabers, and Scoundrels, and we would love a review wherever you listen to your podcast, especially iTunes, which is also known as Apple Podcasts. Did you know you can write a podcast review directly from Apple's podcast app now? It's true. You can do this if you just head over to the podcatcher and then select the episode, scroll down, and you get an opportunity to rate the show and write a review. So we would appreciate it if you could do that. If you did enjoy this, then we offer our sincerest regrets that our Jedi mind tricks didn't work on you. Next time, we'll try money. In all seriousness, we appreciate it anytime you share our show posts on Twitter and Facebook. Please let others know that you're listening. Thanks to all of our dedicated listeners that take the time to share our show with others. It does help us grow.
We are on social media. Starship, Sabers, and Scoundrels can be followed on Twitter at SCubedPod and liked on Facebook, where we are facebook.com/SCubedPod. And we are also on Instagram at SCubedPod as well. If you want to follow Darth Taxus on Twitter, he is at Darth Taxus. Dennis, it is at DJKVER2, and I am at Joyce Krebs. In addition to social media, you can reach us by email at scubedpod@retrozap.com. We would love to hear who your favorite Rebels are, but if you have anything else that is on your mind, Star Wars related or not, then let us know. The best emails, well, almost all emails, end up in silent schools. Again, that email address is scubedpod@retrozap.com.
As always, we are honored to be part of the retrozap.com podcast network. Please check out RetroZap for other great shows, including The Animaticast, The ArgCast, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Case Files, Beltway Banthas, Brews and Blasters, The Deucecast Movie Show, Dorklair, Dunecast, Green Justice, Kanata's Castle, Scarlet Velocity, Skywalking Through Neverland, The Sandcrawler, Techno Retro Dads, Terrigen Dreams, Warp Trails, that's a new one, We Know Nothing, for your Game of Thrones news. Also be sure to check out our Scoundrels t-shirts on TeePublic. Just go to tpublic.com/user/SQPod or just search for us on the site. Hey, Halloween is coming up. Dress up like you're a fan of this podcast.
And I love my sweatshirt. I have to say, I just got it from TeePublic over the weekend, and it is wonderful. So go out there and get one, Scoundrels.
Right. Thanks to Aaron Lay for our show logos, and to James Volpe, the Sky Geek, for our Good, the Bad, and the Ugly show logo. And a special thanks to Mike McDonald for joining us on this episode to discuss our top 10 Rebels.
And here is our disclaimer. Starship, Sabers, and Scoundrels is not endorsed, affiliated with, or sponsored by Lucasfilm Limited and or Disney. The show is intended for entertainment and informational purposes only. All characters, music, and sounds are the intellectual property of their respective copyright holders. All else is the intellectual property of Starship, Sabers, and Scoundrels unless otherwise indicated.
This is usually the part of the show where I regret asking this, but I'm going to ask it anyways. Any final thoughts?
Yeah, I just want to thank everyone for giving us a listen.
I think you're pronouncing that wrong.
Well, that'll do it for episode 39 of Starships, Sabers, and Scoundrels. As always, thanks for listening and joining us this week. We'll catch up with you next time for our Halloween episode. Until then, may the Force be with you.
lot of things about me you don't know anything about, Daddy. Things you wouldn't understand. Things you couldn't understand. Things you shouldn't understand.
I don't understand.
You don't want to get mixed up with a guy like me. I'm a loner, Daddy.